So I go home with Clay and, I'm going through my regular self-care routine that they go through with you at the hospital. And then I soon realized that my C-section is oozing. Like, it's oozing, y'all, like white pus. Hey guys, it's Kyla and I'm here to inspire you along your health journey. And this week is Black Maternal Health Week. And I figured let's just share my maternal health story. Ugh.
All right, ladies, this is going to be a very vulnerable video for me, but I understand the importance of sharing this story for other women that may be going through. So I'm going to be sharing with you my infection story after giving birth to Clay, and I'm going to be showing you pictures too. So I hope this video helps somebody along their journey. And if you see signs of an infection like this, then you definitely want to see your doctor because it's bigger than what you think.
Oh! Ow. Okay. At first it was just a little here, a little there, and then it was a lot of here and a lot of there.
Alright guys, so this is what my infection actually looked like in the beginning. And then these are the pads that I was soaking up literally minutes later after noticing that I was starting to ooze from my scar. And let me just add that I had no other symptoms like stated online. Like I had no fever, I had no chills, nothing.
Call my doctor. We go to the doctor, get it checked out. She runs some tests on me. And at this time, she's like, my doctor's so busy. She's so busy. Like she's running all over the place, so busy. And she's like, yeah. She looks at my incision. She realizes that it's pussing. She cleans it up. She starts to stuff it. And with gauzes. She stuffs it with gauzes. She says, run some tests to make sure, all is on the up and up. Come to find out I had an infection, so she prescribes me some antibiotics. I go to pick up my antibiotics, and she tells me, like, once you do your antibiotics, you should be good to go. Then she also prescribes me a nurse to come to my house every day and to basically pack my wounds. So whenever you get an infection from your C-section, you have to remove those gauzes, and then you have to reinsert those gauzes to try to soak up all of that pus, because you don't want the pus to be in there when your C-section heals, or else it will become very lumpy and bumpy and all that good stuff. So yeah, so about 2 weeks in, taking my antibiotics every day. My nurse is coming every day, and it just doesn't go away. It just keeps every single time she's coming, like she's still stuffing super, super deep, and we don't really know what's happening. Yeah. So I finished all of my antibiotics, and she's like, yeah, like you finished all your antibiotics, like you should be good to go by now. And I don't really understand why. And every time she would come and check my blood pressure was extremely low. And I'm like, okay. And I was extremely tired. In my mind, I'm like, yeah, I'm breastfeeding, like I'm doing a lot, like it's just a lot going on. And she's like, yeah, but still, like it should be healing. You shouldn't be here. You should be here, right? Like you should be feeling better. Your wound should be closing by now because all the pus has come out. Like that's where you should be. So yeah, I remember it was a Friday. This is like 3 weeks in. It was a Friday, and she said, yeah, I honestly feel like, because at this point, like she just keeps ordering me more and more supplies because it's not healing. Like I'm going through gauzes, y'all, like gauzes on gauzes on gauzes, like to the point like I'm stuffing my own wounds. Like I know how to do this now. Like, never thought that I would, but I know how to do this. And so that was a Friday. And then I remember that Saturday, Well, no, it was a Thursday. It was a Thursday. And then she said, like, you know, if you go through the weekend and you're still not feeling good, like, you need to touch bases with your doctor. Because at this point, I didn't have a checkup or a follow-up appointment schedule, because this is a very abnormal scenario, right? Like, they follow the checkup schedule for when you first deliver your child, and my next checkup wasn't for a couple of weeks. So she was just like, yeah, you need to call. Like, you need to call. So that Friday, that was Friday. No, that was Thursday. Sorry. That Thursday, I was like, okay, cool. Then Friday came, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to the emergency room. Like, at this point, like, I'm not feeling good. Like, my blood pressure is clearly super, super low, and something's not right. Like, I just know something's not right with my body. Like, I've been through too much to know when something's not right. And I remember my husband was at work. My dad was with me, and I told my dad I need to go to the hospital. And my dad was watching Clay. So I said, you stay here with Clay. I'm going to take my butt to the hospital. And don't even worry about it. Like, the hospital was maybe a mile or two tops away from the house. And even though I wasn't supposed to be driving with the C-section and all that good stuff going on, I was like, bro, I'm getting myself in this car because I do not want my son anywhere near an emergency room right now. So I drove to the hospital, and the hospital visit was not what's up. Like, it's something about going to an ER room as a Black woman where I just feel like I have to prove myself as a sane person before you believe the fact that something's wrong with me. So needless to say, like, this is no different than any other time that I have stepped foot into an ER room. And at first it starts off good. You know, it's, hey, what's going on? Hey, I don't really know what's happening, but I know something's not right. Like, I just need somebody to look at my wound and to, you know, run some tests. And at first they're like, girl, you know, they give me that kind of attitude. And they take some swabs, take the swabs on back to where they go. And then they said, okay, we're going to do an MRI. And I'm like, cool. So they take me downstairs to get an MRI. And the MRI room is in the basement. No phone signal, no nothing. So then they come to me and they're like, hey, need to sign the waiver for the 3D MRI where they actually inject you with the ink. And then that way they can do like this 3D look and look at everything. It's a Black lady that gave me this paper. And I was like, hey, so I'm breastfeeding. Like, is this going to affect me breastfeeding? And at this point, my son is only like 3 weeks old, right? Like, I don't have enough reserve to play games with y'all. And she was like, yes, straight up. Say less, right? Like, no need to say anything else. Just give me a regular MRI. She's like, okay, girl. And then the doctor comes in and he was like, yeah, I heard that you don't want to get the 3D MRI. And I tell him why. And he like prints out all these documents from some hospital in Canada somewhere that says like it doesn't affect breast milk. And I'm like, no. I said no. You can give me a regular MRI and we can go on about our business. And he's like, yeah, I mean, it's not, look, I brought you the proof. You know, my wife, we switch in between breast milk and regular milk. So it's not going to be a big issue. I mean, if you want to call your pediatrician, you can. No phone signal, bro. Like, there's no phone signal. I can't get through to anybody. I can't get through to my mom. I can't get through to my son's doctor. Nobody. Like, at this point, like, I have tears welding in my eyes because breastfeeding was such, and is still such a big deal to me. And I'm not going to lose the blessed opportunity to breastfeed my child over the fact that you want to inject some 3D dye in me, and I know that you can give me a regular MRI. go back and forth, you know, little shade. And then they had to come to me again and say that I refuse service, right? Like if something happens to you and you refuse service, you sign this waiver, we're not held responsible, which was fine. It's fine, whatever. Fast forward a couple days, I get 2 calls in a matter of minutes of each other from both the ER doctor and from my doctor. Now, I don't know if you guys have ever been to the ER before, but usually like tests run right away, right? Which is why you go to the ER. It's an emergency room. Test it now. But the tests weren't ran right away. So I get my test results back and the ER doctor calls me. Like, this is a doctor that was actually there that day that was giving me all the hell. And he's like, yeah, I got your test results back. And I just want to let you know that you have another infection. Like, the infection that was on your chart before is not the infection that your antibiotics were prescribed for. So before, I had an E. coli infection from my C-section. And then I had the, I forgot what it's called, the infection that you have that only comes from the hospital. I'm going to put that around here somewhere. But anyways, he was like, you have that infection, so you need to take another round of antibiotics. And no lie, guys, like, I guess it hit my doctor's chart, and my busy doctor, who's so busy, picked up the phone herself and called me and said, hey, we're going to give you another prescription of antibiotics because those antibiotics that I gave you before were not powerful enough to fight off your infection. And I never asked her before exactly what type of infection I had because I got too much going on in my life. I'm not going to lie to you. Like, I think I was still halfway drugged through the process. And she was like, yeah, before it was an E. coli infection, but now your test results show that it's a, whatever that infection is called. Like, I don't even want to get it wrong. A staph infection. There you go. It was a staph infection. So, yeah, I was like, oh, okay. And then I just felt like she was just trying to distance herself from me. Like, at this point, like, I don't really know if she just didn't want like a lawsuit or the fact that we really didn't have a relationship before my pregnancy or whatever, but it was just like, yeah, I'm gonna give you these antibiotics so you can go about your business type of attitude. And it was just so disheartening. It was crazy. And I just thought to myself, like, if I would have never gone to the ER and I just would have called my regular doctor, would you have even tested me again? Like, knowing for sure that I've been on these antibiotics and this type of infection should have been gone by now. Like, would you have put me on another round of antibiotics? Right? And even from the ER perspective, like, why didn't you run my test that day? Like, we weren't going through a pandemic at the time like we are now. Now I would understand, like, y'all are busy. But then it's just like, yo, like, why didn't you run my test results? Like, why didn't you run it? Like, what took you so long to care? Like, did you literally go through your catalog of cases and realize, yeah, I forgot. Let me just go ahead and put in this real quick. You know, like, what was it about me that made you feel like it wasn't an emergency? And I honestly, as a Black woman, I'm constantly feeling that way. Like, every time I go to a doctor or there's an emergency or I have to go and build a rapport relationship with a new doctor, I feel like I always have to build my case about how I'm able to intelligently speak about my health. Like, I have to prove to you that I'm not on drugs, that, you know, I'm not out here doing things I shouldn't be doing for you to take me seriously. Like, but here's the thing, even if I was, like, it's your job to care. So why can't you just care about all of us equally? Like, why is there this this notion that Black women don't deserve the same level of care as if it was a Caucasian counterpart, right? Like, that part is difficult to really swallow. It's difficult for me to understand and to comprehend the fact that I can smile, I can make you feel warm and make you feel like I'm inviting, and I feel like I have to do that for you to understand that I'm just not out here trying to cop up your time. And you know what I mean? Like, why would I be here if there wasn't something wrong? But I'm gonna get off of my let me just stop. Like, I'm not even, it's not even worth the conversation. The whole point of this is, and for me personally, I feel like if I was not able to intelligently say exactly what happened with my timeline, I probably would still be dealing with something long term. And that's the part that scares me, right? Like, how many of us are just dealing with things because a doctor wasn't able to take what we were saying seriously? It hurts my soul to know that there has been so many Black women lost to wanting to just give birth, right? And every single time one of us is able to do it without any issues, that is a blessing to be counted. It's not a norm, right? It's not a norm for us to say that we can make it through this. We already know that there's a lot of complications that comes with becoming pregnant and giving birth. So why, when a woman says that something isn't right, why aren't we being heard? Why do we have to have all these examples of Black women dying from doing something so natural? It's truly disappointing. However, the lessons that I've learned through all of this is that, one, a doula is not an option, it's a priority. If I am blessed to have another child, like, a doula will be by my side from the beginning. The beginning. Two, if you are like me, you're in a scenario where you see a specialist for your OBGYN needs. If you want to have a child, start having a conversation with your doctor about what that looks like and if they are the doctor that's going to be there through that process. Because if I would have known that my doctor would not have been able to deliver my child from the beginning, like, I would have been interviewing doctors from a long time ago, y'all. Like, I would have been interviewing doctors 5 years ago, but I just didn't, because I thought that, you know, I had my ride or die team. Who needs a regular OBGYN when you got a specialist? And number 3, I would definitely take note to the importance of just documenting what is happening with you. The fact that I had a nurse that came and stuffed my wounds and was there looking at my chart and helping me understand my health, like, it was at that moment that I realized, like, I need to be documenting everything that happens with me health-wise going forward. Like, I'm not even pregnant right now, but I still keep a health journal. Like, I'm still documenting what's happening with me, because at any point, anything can happen to us. Like, Black women are more likely and more receptive to heart disease. Like, we go through so much in our lives. Like, it's not an option not to pay attention to your health. Like, you are your first doctor, you are your first advocate, and you have to do it. Like, there's no other options. So yeah, those are my key takeaways. And no matter how prepared you think you are, how much research you think you can do, or how well you know your doctors, like, it could be the perfect storm where the doctor's not there, the hospital's not there. Like, it could be the perfect storm where everything and every factor you thought that you could control is completely out of your control. All right, y'all. So I hope that this video helps somebody along their maternal health journey. I wish you all the health in the world. I hope that everybody out there who wants to become a mother becomes a mother and has a healthy and full of joy life afterwards. And I am praying with you. Like, it is not easy. It is truly something that I am scared to go through again. Like, I would love to have another kid, but I'm so scared and terrified of having that same experience when I thought that I was prepared. Like, I thought that I knew hospitals. Like, I thought I knew the medical world. Like, I thought I knew how this all worked. And I found myself in a position where I was dealing with something way after leaving the hospital. Like, I dealt with my infection for 3 months, y'all. 3 months. I was stuffing wounds for 3 months. And it was something that should have healed in 2 weeks. All right, I'm getting off my soapbox. But again, take care. Listen to your body. Don't let anybody tell you what you already know. If something doesn't feel right, then it's not right, and figure out why it's not right. Period. No matter if you're pregnant or not pregnant, like, figure out why it's not right. Figure out why it's not right for you and get to a healthy place. All right, guys. Peace. All right, ladies, so there's a true power with sharing your story and your journey. And if you are a Black woman who has been through any type of maternal health journey, I would impede it upon you just to share your story with somebody next to you, a family member, a friend, a colleague, or on your platform. And the reason why I'm saying that is because the more that we share our stories, the more that other women are going to understand that they're not in this alone. And oftentimes, from my own personal experience, I have truly thought I was on a journey by myself because nobody in my immediate circle understood what I was going through. The more that we share our stories, the more that other women are going to understand that they're not in this alone.